In this video, I want to show you how you can create your own meeting notes hub inside Notion. And I'm going to do it with you. So you can either sit back, relax, and download my free template below, or you can tag along and do it with me. So again, we are going to be creating this meeting notes hub so that you will have one place to store all of your meeting notes. All right, let's get started. Right now, we are in my Notion account. So this is my main dashboard. And we're just going to create a new page. And you can do this from anywhere. You can literally create a new page here. You can do it anywhere you want. But I'm going to do it inside my resources because that is where I store all of the databases and the documents that I use on a daily basis. So I'm just going to create a new page here. And I'm going to say Meeting Notes Hub. Now to organize it, I also have some tags here and I'm going to add that to an area. And I'm going to say that is part of my management and operations area. And then we have our empty page here. So I'm just going to click on full page. And what we're going to do is we're going to store the meeting notes in a database. So I'm just going to hit the slash button and then we're going to say database and we're going to say inline meeting notes hub. And then I always like to just hide this title here. Okay, so now we have an empty database. Now, since these are meeting notes, the first thing we want is to have a date. And that is obviously going to be the date of the meeting. So I'm just going to add an example meeting. Let's say that I have a meeting. Well, actually, this morning I had an email marketing meeting, and that was this morning, and that was at 9 a.m. So I'm just going to say 9 a.m. Here we go. And I actually am going to change the date to the date format to short date because I don't know, it's just a lot shorter, like so. And let's do another example. Let's say that you are a coach and you have a client update call. And that is also today. And we're just going to say include time. It's at, let's just say 2 p.m. Here we go. So now we have 2 example meetings in here. And then what else do we want? I would say we want a status. And by status, I mean the status of the meetings. So for some meetings, you might need to prep the meeting. So I'm just going to add property here. And I'm going to say not started. I'm going to say to prep and maybe also say follow up for when you need to do like a follow up after the meeting. So I'm just going to set that as orange. Now, obviously, you can change all of these statuses to whatever you want. These are just some examples that I use on a frequent basis. So let's say that the meeting this morning, I need to do a follow up on that, and the client update call, I still need to prep. All right, so we have date, we have status, and then I would say let's also add a URL. So this can be like the link to the meeting, but it can also be the link to a file that you need during the meeting, like a presentation or I don't know, something in your Google Drive folder, for instance. So I'm just going to add that here. And then I'm also going to do the same for attachments. So I'm just going to say attachments. For example, for the meeting that I had this morning, I have like an AI tool that transcribes the meeting. So I have AI meeting notes and they always send me like a PDF inside an email after the meeting is like done. So you could add that to your meeting if you want. Now, of course, these are all optional. If you're like, hey, I don't use that, don't add them or hide them or delete them. You can just delete it by deleting the property over here. But for now, we're just going to keep it. And don't worry, we're going to organize this and make it a little bit more pretty afterwards. But for now, we have the basis. So since we have a date, I would also say we want a different view. So I'm going to click on the calendar and that will show us a calendar view of the same database, of the same view that we have over here, but then in a calendar format. So right now we see that I had a meeting this morning at 9, and then I also have one at 2. Now what we can do in this calendar view, first up, you can click on the layout here, and you can hide or show a few things. So for example, maybe you want to wrap the titles, which makes sense, or you want to show the calendar by week instead of month. That is also a possibility. I'm just going to say month because that makes sense for me. And then you can also decide if you want to show the weekends, yes or no. I'm just going to hide them for now. And then if we go back to the layout here, we can also show a couple of properties here. So for example, we can show the status here, maybe even the URL. Since we don't have that over here, it's still showing blank. But if you have a URL, it will show up here. I'm just going to hide that for now because I don't really think it's necessary. And I might also change the conditional color here to a new color setting. And I'm going to give the block that you see here the same color as the status. So now, because this is an orange status, the whole meeting will become orange, and the same for the blue one here. I personally just think it's a little bit more organized like this, so that you will always see like which meeting you still need to prep or follow up, or you need something to do with them. But this is obviously totally optional. You can also delete that here. Right now, I'm just gonna keep it. And we can also manage this in our calendar. So Notion has their own Notion calendar. I'm just going to open this. I'm in like a dummy Notion account right now, so I still need to like set it up. Okay, there we are. So now we have our Notion calendar. So this is literally just a calendar where you can add, for example, your Gmail account. So I have connected my Gmail calendar, my Google calendar to this Notion calendar. So you can sync them, which I would really recommend you do. But you can also sync them to your databases. So we are going to sync the database that we just created with our calendar here. So I'm just going to click on this one, and I'm going to say this one. This is the one that we just made. Here we are, and I'm just going to add the calendar view. Here we go. And now you'll see that we have both meetings in our calendar. Now, obviously, this is totally optional. You don't have to do this, but if you have like a lot of different calendars, so maybe you have like a personal Google calendar and maybe you have like 3 other businesses, I don't know, then this is a nice way to sync all of those different calendars into one place. So check for yourself if that is something that you're interested in, but of course you don't have to do that, just to show you that you can manage your meetings here from the calendar. Okay, so now going back to the table, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sort these meetings here by date. So you click on these arrows here and then you sort them by date, because you obviously want like a chronological order for your meetings. And right now the date is ascending, meaning that your last meetings will end up here, like at the bottom, and the first ones here at the top. But you can obviously change that into descending if you want that like the other way around. For now, I'm just going to say ascending. And the more meetings you have, obviously, the more logical it would be to have like your most recent meetings at the top. So that is why I'm going to sort it like that. Now I'm also going to change these icons here. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to click on this arrow here in the blue button, and I'm going to create a template. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add an icon here. Let's just see if they have like a nice meeting one. This is cute. And let's also add a cover. Let's do this baby blue one that I already created before. And here we go. So I'm just gonna click away. And now I'm going to set this template as the default. So I'm just gonna click on set as default for all views in this database. Now, what that does is when I open one of the meetings here, I'm going to click on open. You will see that now we can add a template. So when I do that, you will see that we not only get the banner, but we also get the icon here. So I'm also going to do that for this one since we already made that. And now for every single meeting, so test meeting, you will see that this template has been uploaded by default, because that is what we did when we created this default template. If you have multiple different templates that you want, maybe you want like more than one icon or more than one like banner image, you can just make multiple ones over here and select them whenever you want to. Now, I would say this is like the basics all set. Obviously, you can also change this banner here and you can change this icon here into anything that you want. For now, let's just keep it at this. And here is where I think the fun part comes, because this is where we are going to link with other databases and just optimize it a little for use. So if I would use this Meeting Hub like every single day, I would want to link this to a couple of other databases that I have, because I want to know exactly what the meeting is for and for who it's for. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a property. I'm going to create a relation. And I'm going to link this to one of my other databases, which is the areas database. Now I'm going to show you what that is right now. So we're now back in my main dashboard, and again, I created the meeting notes hubs inside the resources database, but I have a couple of more databases that I use a lot. I have projects and goals. For example, right now you can see that one of the projects that I'm working on is publishing this video that you're watching right now. So that is a project that you will see me working on. Then I also have areas here. So I have all of my different life areas inside this column on the left. And these areas are literally like all of the different departments of my life, like broken apart into 3 different options. So the pink ones are business areas, the yellow ones are life areas, so personal areas, and then the blue ones are clients. So I have a couple of clients. I right now just named them like client 1 and client 2 for privacy reasons. Obviously, like I said, this is like a dummy account, but usually I would just rename this to the client that I have. So 3 different types of areas. Now, why I am like informing you about this is because I want to link those areas to this meeting hub so that I know exactly which area each meeting is a part of. And how I'm doing that is again by adding a new relation. So the property I added is a new relation, and I'm going to say area here. So it will show up as area here. And then obviously it's related to areas. I'm going to limit the areas that I can link to just one area at a time. And I'm going to make this a 2-way relationship. So I'm going to click on the toggle, and then inside my areas database, this will appear as meetings. Now I'm going to add the relation, and that will show you that right now I can tag an area. Going back to the areas here, I'm just going to click on all of my areas. Here we are. You will see that each of these options here, I can now also tag inside my meeting notes. So for example, this client update call that I have, let's say that this is with client 1. And let's say this email marketing meeting is obviously part of my marketing area. Now, because all of these now kind of look similar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on these 3 dots here, and then I can customize all of these areas. And I also want to show the, where is it? Type. Here we are. So now I can see the type of each area as well. And like I said, this is part of my business area of marketing. And then the test meeting, I should say that that is part of, I don't know, sales. Maybe it's like a sales call or something. I'll just say sales call. So this is how this shows in my meeting notes. But I also added it to my areas. So for example, the client update call is part of client 1. So if I go to area and I'm clicking on client 1, you will now see that as part of client 1, we see this meeting here. So if you are a coach, for example, this is really useful because if this is like your coaching client, then the more meetings you do with them, like the more will show up here. And I actually even added like a separate view here for all meetings for this specific client. But that is literally like too much to go into right now. But just to show you that linking different databases, like connecting them to each other, will give you a lot more structure because you don't have to like look for a meeting there and then for other nodes there and there and there and there. Everything is now part of client 1. So I have this area here, and it will also, of course, be shown here. And then we can make this a little smaller. Now, this is, of course, only useful if you have like a separate database for areas. If not, then it would not make sense to create like a relation here. But what you can do instead, so instead of creating a relation here, you can also create a select. So I'm just going to add a select here, and I'm going to change the title to area 2. We can name it area because I already named the other one that. So just saying area 2. And here I could say, adding the property, I'm going to add options here. I can say like client 1, I can say marketing, sales, etc., etc. So all of my areas I could also create into like this select property, and then just going to put it there. I could say over here client 1, and then marketing, and then sales. So there's two ways to do that. Now, the reason I am showing you both ways is that I think it is really important to have an area that your meeting is tagged with, because we want an overview categorized by area as well. So right now we have an overview of all of our meetings, but you have to remember that after like 3 months, this will be like flooded with meetings. So it's really hard to find the specific meeting that you're looking for if you are looking for a specific meeting. So what I want to do instead, I'm going to rename this to by date. And I'm just going to add the arrow like this. And then I'm just going to duplicate this. So I'm going to click on duplicate here. I did that with like my right mouse click and then click on duplicate. And here I'm going to say by area. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to group by area. So I'm just going to use the area database here, but you can also use this one if you don't have that. So I'm just going to click on this one here. And now we have our meetings grouped by area. And this is going to be very useful if you have a lot of different clients and a lot of different like areas where you have meetings for. So if you have your own business, which I'm assuming you have, then you will probably have, based on if you are like a client or a product-based business, you're going to have like a lot of different meetings for maybe marketing, and maybe you do sales calls and all of the different clients that you have, or product development or finances or whatever. You will have a lot of meetings here, and categorizing them by, or grouping them, I should say, by area will give you a nice overview. Because in the end, for example, if client one, say that I'm a health coach and I have like 20 different clients, this will give me an overview of all of the calls that I had with the specific client by date. So let's just say that I have another client update call, and that's next week, for instance. And let's just do 9 a.m. Now you will see we have like 2 meetings sorted by date, but I'm going to sort backwards. So I'm going to say date ascending so that we have like the first meeting here and the most recent ones like here at the bottom, if that still makes sense. And again, the more meetings you have, the more this will make sense. Now I'm also going to show aggregation so that you see how many meetings are inside there. So right now we have 2 meetings inside client 1. So it says 2 here and it says 1 and it says 1 here. And as you can see, you can just toggle them open or close, whatever you want. And you can even go further if you go to the group here. Obviously, we group by area. And what I can do here is I can sort. So I can sort these areas alphabetical. I can do it manual or reverse. So for example, if you have like a couple of clients that you have more meetings with, then you can do like a manual search where you say like, okay, I have like a lot of sales calls, for instance, and then you will see that sales now is at the top. And let's say that you want marketing above that. Now it will change, but I'm just going to set it back to alphabetical. So right now it's alphabetical again, but again, you can decide for yourself how you want to sort them. So now we have a table view by date, we have one by area, and then we also have a calendar view. And I would say these are all of the views that we need. I don't want to make it like overcomplicated, so this is it. Now what I am going to do is for this database, I'm going to hide the icon. So if I click on table here, you can click on this toggle, which will show you the page icon. So these icons over here, I'm just going to hide them because I think they're just a little bit cluttered. And I'm going to do the same here. Let's see, table heights. Here we go. Now we can make these a little shorter as well to make it a little bit nicer. And what else do we need? Now, for me personally, how I use this is I link not just to areas. So going back to the homepage here, I link not just to like the areas database here, but I also link to the tasks and to projects and goals. And I want to link my meeting notes to those projects and goals. So I'm going to add another property here. I'm going to click on relation and I'm going to link to over here projects and goals. And I'm just going to say project/goal here. And it is going to be a 2-way relation. So also in my projects and goals database, I will see the meeting. I'm just going to say meetings. add relation. So now you will see that if I click here, you will see all of the projects and goals that I have in my projects and goals database here. So if I click on see all, you will see all of my projects and goals. Now again, this is a dummy account here because otherwise you would just see all of my projects and goals. So if I click on this goal here, so this is the video that I'm recording right now. So I turned that into a project inside my Notion overview. So you will see here the details of this project or this goal. And for example, you see the progress that I'm making here, you see the status, you see the quarter that I'm currently in, deadline, the area also, and resources if necessary, the tasks that are part of this project. And then here we have meetings. So I can link meetings. So these are all of the meetings I just created. We can link them to this project. And again, I would say to make this a little bit more nicer, let's also add the date here so that we know exactly which meeting we are referring to. So if, for example, I tag this sales call here and going back to the meeting notes, you will see that to this sales call here, this project is linked. So I'm going to make it a little bit more wide like so. Now, obviously the sales call is not part of this meeting, but let's say that as a part of this email marketing meeting that I had, I need to create a new project for myself. I need to create a project to create the Q1 email campaigns, for example. So for me, this would mean building email campaigns for the first quarter of next year. So I'm just going to add that as a project/goal over here. And now if we click on that project here, you will see that the meeting is now a part of it. So now they are again linked together. And again, this is very useful if you have like a lot of clients, a lot of projects at once. Then you can just start to like link them together. If not, if this is not relevant for you, then obviously you can delete the property here. And if you do that, also delete the related property because otherwise it will still show up in your projects and goals database, which is obviously then not relevant. So only do that if it's like relevant to you. And then we can also do the same for tasks. So I'm going to link a relation again. This time it's going to be the tasks database. And I'm going to say tasks here. It's a two-way relation. Let's say meeting. I'm going to add the relation. Here we go. So now if I go back to my main dashboard here, you will see that these are the tasks that I have, or at least if I click on see all, here we are. You'll see these are all of the tasks that I have in my task database. And if I click on, for example, here, you'll see those exact same tasks. Now, again, I'm going to show the status here. And why this is useful is, let's just open this meeting here. But why I think tasks is so nice is, let's say you are in this meeting right now and you think to yourself like, okay, I still have to double check, I don't know, the email from, let's say, December 17th, for example. So I'm just going to click on tasks here and I can literally just say double check email December 17th. And I can create that as a task straight from my meeting. So I don't have to leave the meeting. So you have to remember, like, you open this during your meeting. Like while you were in the meeting, you can open this. And while you're in the meeting, you can literally add tasks to the meeting, which will then appear in your inbox here. So if I click back on my dashboard, you will see inside my inbox that I now have this task. So that for me is like a really nice way to make sure that I don't forget stuff. But of course, if you don't have like a task overview like that, you can always just add notes here. So you could literally say something like tasks and then do a to-do list, something like this. So we can also add the task, like double check email December 17th, etc., etc. So now we have all of the properties that I personally think are useful inside like your meeting notes hub. Now let's organize them because this is very cluttered. Like there's a lot going on here and there's also a lot going on here. So I would say hide whatever you don't need and just show there what is relevant. So for example, I would not show the URL here because I just think it's cluttered. I would not add this attachment here and I would not want the tasks. And maybe I also don't want the project or the goal. I'm just going to hide that. So right now we just have these, and I'm also just going to hide this one since I don't use that. So this is like my main overview now. But whenever I click on one of these meetings, you will see that they still appear here. So the properties that I hid here are not hidden here. Now let's do the same for this overview. I don't need the URL here. I don't need the attachment here. I don't need the projects or goal, and I don't need the tasks. So here we are. We have the same ones. And in the calendar view, maybe we can also add the area, or of course this area, but I'm just going to choose this first one, and I'm going to drag that so that in front of the status here. And then I'm going to go back to this overview. So this is like the main overview. And I'm just going to open one. And now we're going to organize the properties. So the same properties we see here in the database, I'm also going to organize them here because still I think it looks a little bit cluttered. And how I do that is you can click on customize layout here. So I'm just going to do that. And we're going to keep the comment section here. And I'm going to move this to the panel here. So now that I can start editing it. So what I want to do is I want to add this here at the beginning, along with like the date and everything else. I'm going to section up. So let's say relations and details. Here we go. So this is a relation. This is a relation, and this is a relation. Now let's move these all the way down. And then I would say this is the one we want to see first, then this one, then this one, like so. And then here we are. So now I'm just going to put that back to the page. And now we have like these sections with toggles so that it's not so cluttered. So whenever you open like one of these meetings here, you will see you have the details here and you have the relations here. Now that is it for the database here. So this is everything that I would use. Like whenever you have like a new meeting, you click on new page here, you create the meeting and you fill in like the details that you need, and everything else just leave it empty or delete it or hide it or make sure it's not as cluttered. And then obviously we need to still make notes. Now we have like the whole framework to store the notes, but we obviously still have to make the notes. So a few things here. What you can do is you can again add the template that we just created for the icon and the banner so that you have like some standard stuff inside each meeting. So I'm just gonna do that first and show you that you can edit this template here. Now let's say that you want each meeting to like have like a nice overview of everything that you want to discuss. So I'm just gonna say to discuss. We'll put this in like bold. Or let's turn this into a toggle. Here we are, toggle. And then we can just add a bullet point, another one, etc., etc. I'll delete this. And then let's say you want like your meeting notes. And maybe you also want like a next actions overview. Now let's put an enter in between. Okay, so if I click away now and I make a new meeting, let's just say test, click on open, you will see that now we have these 3 sections here. So every single meeting that you start will have all of these details that you fill inside the template. So again, if you want to create a template, you click here and you edit the template and you can just add stuff here. And something else that you can use here is if you click on the /meet, you can create AI meeting notes. So you can literally start each meeting. I'm just gonna add that here with another enter. You can start each meeting and then it will start transcribing. So whenever you start like transcribing here, it will literally just give you like all of the words that you say and the person with you in the meeting says, and it will summarize that here. However, if you are not on, I think it is like the business plan for Notion, this will only give you like 20 minutes worth of transcription. So this is only useful if you do have that upgrade. I personally don't have it yet because I use like Firefly's meetings or something like that, Firefly's AI, to transcribe my meetings. But if you don't have that, this is certainly like a really great option because you have your meeting notes like stored inside your meetings. And I don't think the price is like that bad. If an alternative would be to have like another tool to transcribe your notes. So, but yeah, check that for yourself, of course. So just showing you what that would look like. I'm going to delete this for now. And again, we're going to add the template. Now it shows up here. So if I click on start transcribing, you will see that it is now transcribing everything that I say, blah, 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 test, 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 test. And then if I click on stop, here we are, it is going to summarize the meeting and give me like all of my notes here. Now, I think this is like a really nice tool inside Notion, but again, you have to upgrade. But if you're someone who has like a lot of meetings, especially like coaching calls, which are like super long, and I don't know about you guys, but whenever I have like a long meeting, like 2 weeks later, I will not remember like half of it. So this is really, really useful, I would say. But again, you have to upgrade to get like the full access here. But for now, let's just keep it in there. Again, if you don't want like these default settings here or these default texts, you can again click here on the template, click on edit, and just delete everything. Or you can even turn it into like headings. For example, maybe you want this to be like a heading 1 instead of a toggle. And same for this. Let's just turn into heading 1. And you want to turn this into like a call out. Let's say next. Here we go. And now we have like next actions. You can even make this like a cute color, like, I don't know, like this. But that is obviously totally up to you. Like the possibilities are literally endless and you might not need like all of these things, but I just want to show you what is possible here. I think the most important thing here is check if you have like any relations that you want to add. Like obviously I will put the template in the description below so you can download it for free. But the relations that I just created are all only like applicable to my dashboard here. So you have to connect those for yourself. I can't do that for you, unfortunately, because I don't have access to your Notion. One other important thing is if you have recurring meetings, you can also already like add them into this hub. So what you do then is you again go to this blue button here and you can duplicate this page here. So I'm just going to click on these 3 dots. I'm going to duplicate. And let's say that the client update call, I'm just going to say client update call. I have that, let's say, so that's with client 1. And we don't have any projects or goals, but we do have a date that is recurring. So I'm just going to say date when duplicated. And we are going to repeat this let's say that this update call is every 2 weeks and it's every 2 weeks on a Monday at, what did we say? I think it was like 2 p.m., something like that. Here we are. So it's going to start today or it's going to start tomorrow. Yeah. So it's a meeting every 2 weeks. It's on a Monday. It's at 2 p.m. and the recurring event will start tomorrow. So from tomorrow, it will repeat every single 2 weeks on a Monday at 2 p.m. And you can even add like an ending time. So for example, if this client hired you for like 3 months straight, you can set the end date after a specific number of runs or at a specific date. So let's say that we work with this client until like the 31st of March, and then afterwards it will stop. So here we are. We can save this now. And if I just leave now, you will see that the client update call is a recurring event. It will repeat weekly or bi-weekly, I should say. So every 2 weeks, it will automatically add itself to your meeting hub overview. Now, if you're like, hey, I need to prep this meeting, what you can also do is you can edit it and you can say that it repeats every 2 weeks, but instead of it's repeating itself. So it's adding itself into your meeting hub at 2 p.m. You can also add it at, let's see, 9 a.m. in the morning, so that you will get like a notification and you will get this meeting at 9 a.m. in your meeting overview. And then you have like a couple of hours to prep for it. I can even set the status to prep, so that you will know like, hey, I still need to prep for this meeting and I still have a couple of hours left. So if you have any recurring meetings, add them here. You can duplicate and just set the date as you wish. All right. So I think that is it. I'm going to delete all of these like meetings for now to clean it up. And I'm also going to change the cover here to something a little bit more aesthetic. Here we are. That looks a little bit more calm. And I will just minimize these tools here just so you guys know. And yeah, by now I think you have like all of the instructions you need to either build your own, so you can rebuild this, or you can use this exact template if you're like, well, I can be bothered to build it on my own. I will link it for free in the description box down below, so that you can start using this one and just maybe organize it a little bit more to your personal preferences. And if you want, I will also link this Female Founder OS dashboard here. So this entire like life and business dashboard that I have here, along with like your tasks, your projects and goals, habits, routines, areas, and all of the resources, I will also link in the description box down below. And if you have any question or maybe like a specific request for a property or something that you use very often inside your meetings, then be sure to let me know in the comments. I will just reply to you and hopefully I can help you set up your meeting hub in the best way possible for you. And if you're interested in more videos about Notion or templates, then I would definitely say subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.